The story opens at a U.S. Marine Corps training camp on October 7, 2007. 4 days later, Captain Sam Cahill is preparing to deploy to Afghanistan. Before he leaves, he writes a letter meant to be delivered to his wife, Grace, only if he doesn't return. He hands it to his commanding officer with the hope it will never be needed.
You don't have to deliver it.
Sam is the steady center of his family, a devoted husband to Grace and a loving father to their daughters, Maggie and Isabel. His younger brother, Tommy, is the family's opposite pole, charismatic but reckless, just released from prison after a bank robbery. The brothers care for one another, but years of comparison and resentment have left scars. At a dinner celebrating Tommy's release and Sam's imminent deployment, tension builds. Their father, Hank, a stern Vietnam veteran, openly compares his sons, praising Sam's service while belittling Tommy's past. The mood curdles until Hank leaves in anger. As he heads out, Tommy puts ego aside long enough to tell Sam to take care of himself abroad. It's a rare moment of tenderness between them. That night, Sam removes his wedding ring and Grace threads it on a chain around her neck. They share a quiet goodbye. She tells him she loves him, and he assures her he loves her too, then disappears into the machinery of war. 5 days later, Sam is driving across the Afghan desert, filming the landscape on a small camera as if trying to bottle normalcy. Everything changes when the helicopter carrying him is struck and goes down. Back in the United States, Grace is bathing when her daughter opens the door to 2 uniformed Marines. The implication is immediate and devastating. Sam is presumed dead. Grace is shattered. She replays old home videos of Sam and repeatedly calls his number just to hear his voicemail greeting. That night, a drunk Tommy arrives to return a car, initially confused by Grace's distress over what he thinks is a broken headlight. In tears, she tells him what happened. He's the last to learn of the tragedy because no one could reach him all day. Overwhelmed, he yells that Sam never should have been sent to Afghanistan. During the service, Grace receives the same farewell letter Sam had written before leaving. Afterward, Hank, who has been drinking, tries to drive. Tommy tries to take the keys, and Hank once again scolds his younger son, comparing him unfavorably to Sam. This time, Tommy answers back. He tells Hank he wasn't a good father or husband, and that he filled Sam's head with military ideals. Eventually, Hank walks home. Grace, afraid of what the letter might say, puts it away without reading it. The story cuts back to Afghanistan. The Taliban are escorting 2 prisoners, Sam and another soldier, Private Joe Willis. They survived the crash but were captured and thrown into a zindan, an underground pit. Sam tells Joe to say nothing to their captors. Silence is their only defense. Meanwhile, a drunk Tommy calls Grace at 3 in the morning asking for help. He's short $47 to clear a bar tab, and the bartender is threatening to report him for a parole violation. Grace bails him out in the middle of the night and drives him home. He wakes to the clatter of dishes. The girls are making pancakes to cheer up their mother, who is still crushed by grief. Tommy tells them to be quiet. Maggie refuses, and he has to get up from the couch. Hank shows up, surprised to see Tommy there. Hank apologizes for the previous night. Tommy admits Sam always seemed smarter. Hank says the issue was never intelligence. Tommy always quit what he started, unlike his brother. Tommy, still raw, says he'd cut his own throat to bring Sam back, then complains about how Grace manages with a kitchen in such poor shape. In the zindan, Sam watches through a sliver of light between boards. He spots a helicopter circling above the Taliban camp and starts trying to loosen the boards with a stone, believing a rescue may be coming. A guard immediately threatens him with a gun and weighs down the cover with a heavy rock. Back home, Tommy recalls Hank's comments about the kitchen and, with friends, begins renovating Grace's kitchen without warning. 2 months pass in captivity. Sam struggles to remain steady as Private Joe slowly unravels, accusing Sam of saving him, only to leave him living in a nightmare. Saying he'd have been better off dead, Sam insists Joe must not reveal his identity or rank. Sam overhears Taliban fighters arguing. He reminds Joe of his rule: provide no information. Soon the captors decide to move them. The Americans are pushed into a vehicle and taken to a new location. Before that, the Taliban bring out an Afghan man who had used a satellite phone to talk to his pregnant wife, which exposed the camp. They force him to kneel and execute him instantly, warning that this is their land and foreigners have no place there. They insist Sam carry that message to America, one way or another. While Grace continues to mourn, work on the kitchen proceeds. The men even involve the daughters. They reminisce about how athletic Sam was. During the painting, Maggie accidentally splashes paint on one of the helpers. He needs new clothes, so Grace goes to Sam's closet, but the moment overwhelms her. She grabs armfuls of his clothing in a burst of emotion. Owen, the worker, isn't sure why he's been handed so much or whether he should return it. Grace slips back into sadness. In Afghanistan, Sam is tied to a post outdoors. He's doused with water and asked whether he wants to help his friend. Right in front of him, Joe is tortured with a heated iron. Unable to withstand the agony, Joe speaks for the camera, repeating the captor's message that Americans don't belong there, sending love to his wife and child, and, crucially, revealing that Sam has 2 daughters. When Grace arrives home later, she finds the kitchen fully remodeled, completed just in time for her birthday. Loved ones congratulate her, but the most important person is still missing. Winter has set in. On a walk, Isabel complains to Tommy that everyone prefers Maggie because she's cute. Tommy responds with a story about how Sam once saved his life from drowning in that very river. They eventually arrive at the ice rink, and Grace is surprised to see how naturally Tommy interacts with kids. One day, Tommy visits the bank employee he threatened during the robbery and asks for forgiveness. They talk for an hour. She explains she suffered insomnia for 3 years, terrified he might return. When Tommy later tells Grace, she's proud of him. That night, Tommy and Grace reminisce about school. Grace admits she didn't like it because he was always drunk and fighting. They reminisce, gaze into each other's eyes, and end up kissing passionately. Grace goes outside for some fresh air, and Tommy cries over what he just did. Later, Grace tries to read Sam's letter, but decides against it and puts it back in the drawer without reading it. Back in Captivity, the torture continues. One day, the militants hand Sam a metal pipe and order him to kill his comrade. Since Joe has already revealed everything, they consider him a burden. Sam initially throws the pipe away, but they raise a gun and threaten him directly, and imply danger to his family if he refuses. Cornered and terrified, Sam kills Joe with the pipe while the captors shout. They record the execution. Tommy returns to Grace's house under the pretext of installing decorative panels. Grace feels uneasy after the previous night. Tommy says he'd like to keep seeing the girls sometimes. Grace answers that they'd all be happy to have him around. Soon after, Hank shows up, surprised that Tommy has become so handy. The Taliban camp is then attacked by American forces. One insurgent leader tries to shoot Sam, but misses. He's immediately shot and falls into a ravine. The camera, with the incriminating footage, burns. Finally, Sam is freed. While Tommy is playing with the kids in the yard, the phone rings inside. Grace answers and learns that her husband is alive. She can barely process it. The family reunites at the airport. Tommy is both relieved and saddened. The girls rush to show Sam the renovated kitchen, proudly saying Tommy and his friends did the work. Sam later lies on the bed, clutching his wife and daughters. In the bathroom, Grace kisses the scars on his body, but Sam remains distant, quietly signaling for space. He's different, and it's obvious. Tommy reads a newspaper reporting on Private Joe's death, killed by Sam. Hank notices Sam's strange behavior and remembers how he himself pulled away from his sons after returning from Vietnam. At the ice rink, Sam watches Grace and the kids interact warmly with Tommy. He tells Tommy he looks good with the family and thanks him for taking care of them, calling Grace a miracle for how she is managed. Then, abruptly, Sam asks whether Tommy slept with Grace, assuming it might have happened since everyone believed Sam was dead. Tommy denies it, but Sam remains convinced. In his mind, they behaved like smitten teenagers. Joe's widow visits with her child, little Joe Jr., who crawls around the living room. She says she keeps dreaming about her husband, and also about Sam, whom she resents in those dreams for surviving, while her Joe did not. She apologizes for these feelings, and asks Sam whether he saw how Joe died. Sam lies, saying he didn't witness it and doesn't know the details. One night, Sam breaks down, walking the house with a pistol, tidying glasses obsessively while carrying the weapon. The next day, he goes to the base and asks to return to service. When his superior asks about his family, Sam says he can't stay with them. No one understands him. Nevertheless, he's told to spend more time at home. During dinner that evening, the girls make jokes and chatter. Sam loses patience and yells, demanding to know why they're laughing. Grace tries to calm him, but he leaves the table, Isabel asks when Uncle Tommy will come back. It's clear to everyone that something is very wrong with their father. Sam refuses to talk about Afghanistan and keeps obsessing over the idea that Grace and Tommy were together. She tries to convince him nothing happened, but he won't believe her and leaves in anger. That night, he visits Joe's grave and returns home the next morning, where Isabel freezes in fear as he approaches. Trying to reassure her, he hugs his daughters and tells them everything will be fine. Later, he tells Grace he spent the night thinking about their family and how lucky he is to be alive. Days later, during Maggie's birthday at Hank's house, Tommy arrives with a woman he just met, hoping to lighten the mood. Tina's awkward jokes about the military make Sam tense, and when the girls start playing around, Isabel keeps squeaking a balloon to get attention. Overwhelmed, Sam suddenly loses his temper and pops it, filling the room with uneasy silence. Isabel suddenly bursts out with a painful confession, saying she wishes her father had never come back, accusing him of being angry because their mother loves Uncle Tommy more, and even claiming the two are always together. The room freezes in complete silence. Sam is speechless, his face filled with shock and disbelief. The family leaves in silence, the tension heavy in the air. Later that night, Isabel apologizes, admitting she made it up out of anger and confusion. She just doesn't like her father anymore and wishes Tommy could replace him. Maggie quietly agrees, deepening the wound in Sam's heart. Sitting alone in the living room, Sam quietly asks Grace if the girls have said their prayers. Then, without warning, something inside him snaps. He grabs a crowbar and begins tearing apart the new kitchen, the very symbol of healing and togetherness. As he smashes everything around him, he screams that he suffered for his family, that he fought to come home, only to feel betrayed. Overwhelmed by guilt and rage, he strikes himself in the head and continues his violent outburst. When Tommy arrives, he rushes to calm his brother, holding him tightly, but Sam breaks free, pulls out a gun, and points it directly at him. Sirens wail outside. Sam steps out of the house, the weapon still in his hand, while police officers shout for him to drop it. Shaking and desperate, Sam yells that they have no idea what he's done, that being called a hero means nothing, and that he's drowning under the weight of it all. In a final moment of surrender, he throws the gun away and collapses as the officers move in. That night, Grace lies beside her daughters, trying to make them feel safe again. Days later, Grace finally opens Sam's farewell letter. It's filled with love for her and their children, written as if from beyond the grave. The words shatter her, and she breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Sam, now in a psychiatric facility for war veterans, reaches out to Tommy by phone, making peace with him. Tommy takes care of the girls, while Grace goes to see Sam. She tells him she's loved him since she was 16, and that if he continues hiding the truth, she won't be able to stay. He's destroying himself. Sam finally decides to speak. Tears stream down his face as he confesses that he killed Joe Willis during captivity. Grace wraps her arms around him, holding him in silence. Sam then wonders if he will ever be able to live a normal life again, haunted by what he's done, but finally beginning to face it.